What's up, y'all? This King Rain coming at y'all with another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Bubble Awards, which is a category that ESPN has created in reference to the coronavirus stopping the season from fully operating and proceeding the way it usually does. But they're going to have their categories. They're going to give their perspective. I'm going to chime in with my perspective.
His name, yes, that was the best of the bubble, which means it's time for the first and, I don't know, hopefully only, NBA Bubble Awards. First up, Kendrick Perkins. Who is your Bubble MVP?
My Bubble MVP, and all due respect to Dame, respect for him, but I got to give it to Devin Booker. Rachel, not one person, including myself, was talking about or gave the Phoenix Suns a chance of even making the AC. And here it is, they was waiting on the game last night and barely didn't get in. They went 8-0. Devin Booker averaged 31 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds. That was tremendous. No one even expected them to make noise like Booker as my MVP.
Now, first of all, ladies and gentlemen at home, I want to make sure you guys understand. They tell us in order to go. They're like, Perk, we're going to give you, then Richard, you're going to come next. Perk knows very well that I was going to say Devin Booker, right? He knows I was going to say Devin Booker. That's what Perk does. Perk cheats off my homework all the time. Make no mistake about that. But yes, Devin Booker is the MVP because, and like you said, no one expected anything, this or that. But really what happens is this, is that if someone would have told you Dame was going to go for 61, if someone would have told you Dame was going to go for 50, if someone...
And I can understand why Richard Jefferson and Kendrick Perkins would choose Devin Booker as their bubble MVP because he has been having a stellar... What's the word I'm looking for? He's been having a stellar run as far as in the bubble and playing, but he's not my bubble MVP. I will give it to Damian Lillard, and not only because of the 50-point and 60-point games, but he actually got his team into the playoffs with his play and hard work and leadership. Devin Booker has put up great numbers, but his team didn't make the playoffs. You know, he's showing and developing into a great player, but it's not going to show exceptionally to me until I actually see him lead his team to the playoffs and actually make a run in the playoffs. He's a great player, not taking anything from Devin Booker, but Damian Lillard is the bubble MVP. But as far as the league MVP, in my opinion, it is Giannis Antetokounmpo. He excels on both sides of the floor, and he's led his team to the best record in the Eastern Conference. But we're not talking about the league awards. We're talking about the Bubble Awards that has been created by ESPN in reference to the NBA. But like I said, I would choose Damian Lillard as my Bubble MVP.
would have told you that the Portland Trailblazers were going to get into that 8th spot, you would have believed them. You wouldn't even have batted an eye because that's Dame doing what Dame does. But you know what you would never believe? No one in the world would have believed that the Phoenix Suns, without Kelly Oubre, without Aaron Baines, were going to go 8-1. Or 8-0, excuse me. No one would have believed that. So with that being said, you got to give it to Devin Booker. You got to give it to the Phoenix Suns. If there was a coach of the bubble, it would have to go to Monty Williams.
I mean, that's cool and all, Richard Jefferson, that, you know, you would think that it's so unbelievable that a team would go on an 8-0 win streak, and you make it seem as though the Phoenix Suns are just the worst team in the NBA. They're not a bad team, but Devin Booker hasn't reached that level to where he can carry a team and also display the leadership to raise the skill level of the teammates. He hasn't shown that. And Monty Williams, yeah, he's done a great job as far as coaching in the bubble and leading his team to the 8-0 record. That's great and all, but it's not something that's unbelievable, and it's not something that hasn't ever been done before. This is something new as far as the bubble, but we've seen bad teams go on win streaks near the end of the season or just in the season in general. We may see a team that's having a good start to the season and then fall off completely. So this aspect of it being so unbelievable, Richard Jefferson is not.
Hey, RJ,
Amazing.
just because we're agreeing a lot today, that don't mean that I'm cheating on your homework. You just happen to be rolling with the
cheating.
No, you just rolling
Nah,
with
Steve,
the
Steve gotta stop. Steve's gotta stop giving you my answers pre-show.
Richard, I'm going to go to you first on this one, okay? So you can be the first one. Who is your bubble breakout star?
You know what's so crazy? And with all due respect to TJ Warren, who was the most impressive individual surprise in the way he played with the numbers that he put up, I'm still going to give it to Devin Booker. Why? Because those numbers that he's been putting up have finally translated to wins. He didn't show up with a full squad. He didn't show up with a healthy squad. He showed up with good portions of his team out, and he led them in a way. That's what we want to see. We know he can score. The man put up 70 points as a youngster, but we know he can score. We know he can do that, but ultimately his numbers translated to wins, and now they are the talk of the entire NBA community. That's why he is a breakout star. Even though he was an all-star, now he's on another level.
Well, my breakout star got to be TJ Warren. Listen, we knew about Devin Booker. He was an all-star. We knew about Damian Lillard. Talking about TJ Warren. We're talking about a guy who was maybe a third or fourth option on the Indiana Pacers to now that we could possibly say that he's the number one option and Victor Oladipo is healthy. This guy has been tearing the league up. He had a 53-point game. I'm talking about he has been doing a tremendous job all across the board. Matter of fact, he's doing so well that we're questioning the Suns on how did they give him up for cash considerations in a second-round pick. If TJ Warren is not the surprise player of this bubble, I don't know what RJ is thinking right now. We knew that Devin Booker could come out and put up big numbers. We didn't know this about TJ Warren.
We didn't know Devin Booker could win. We didn't.
And I would have to agree with Richard Jefferson in reference to the breakout star being Devin Booker. And my agreement is based on the fact, like he said, his numbers have translated to wins. I can definitely agree with that. Now, you know, TJ Warren, he did have that game when he put up 50, and that's cool, and, you know, that's amazing for a player of his caliber to do that. But it's not something that is just, eye-poppingly amazing. It's, you know, it was amazing, but it's not something that, you know, you could just never, ever see him not doing. Even though he is a third or fourth option on the team from Kendrick's perspective. I would say he's a second or third, depending on the team that he's playing on.
No, Devin Booker could win games and put up numbers. That's why he's the breakout star. But keep going.
I feel better when you guys are not on the same side anymore. I feel like normalcy has returned. And Richard, I want to give you another chance to...
Yeah, it do feel good when two black men going against each other, huh? I'm just joking, y'all. I'm just joking.
Go first. Which team do you think is most likely to have their bubble first early in the playoffs? Richard, who you got?
I'm going to say the Philadelphia 76ers. And the reason why I say this is because obviously without Ben Simmons, there's some gaps in their game. And they weren't even sure if this was going to mesh. But then they get the Boston Celtics. And so when I look at this and I look at the Philadelphia 76ers, there's so much at stake. If they have an early underperforming exit from the postseason, the coach is at risk, high risk, probably the biggest coaching, risk right now in the postseason. Then you don't know if they're going to trade Ben Simmons and try and move on. So there's so much at risk for this Philadelphia 76er team, and the only thing they have to overcome is a sleeper team like Boston that a lot of people think can make it to the conference finals. So I think Philly has the most at risk, and I think their bubble is going to burst.
Guess what? The Lakers are not the favorite to win the title. The Clippers are not. Dallas is not. Toronto is not. Philly is not. The Milwaukee Bucks are. and they 3-5 in the bubble. They have not been playing inspiring basketball. To me, they lost their defensive identity. And yes, they're going to beat the Orlando Magic in the first round. We all know this, right? But when they get to the second round and they have to face Jimmy Butler, Eric Spoelstra, and that Miami Heat team, it's going to be smoke in the city. Because they're not afraid of the deal. They do not fear the deal. Even the one matchup that they did face Milwaukee in the bubble, they were up 24 points at half without Jimmy and Goran Dragic. Although they lost the game, they shouldn't have been in the game anyway. It took Giannis and Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez down the stretch to pull that one off. And by the way, a couple favorable calls in the third quarter where the Bucks shot almost 20 free throws, but I'm not even about to get into that. But I'm looking at this Milwaukee Bucks team. They don't impress me, and they better be careful because the Miami Heat, second round, the Miami Heat is going to beat them.
Now, I wouldn't say there's anything to be afraid of just because the Bucks, out of 8 games, have lost 5 and won 3. I don't feel that's anything to be, afraid of in reference to their going in the playoffs and how they may dominate. I don't feel that's a cause for a pause. But in reference to what Richard Jefferson said in reference to the 76ers, I could definitely see them getting, kicked out or exiting the playoffs in an early fashion. But the Bucks, Kendrick Perkins, he makes a lot of brash statements, and he gives me that Stephen A feel when he gives his opinions, where if I give it with a lot more, boisterous attitude, I can get it more across, when, he doesn't provide in detail information besides the fact with the Bucks that I'm speaking of in reference to what he's saying, that because they've lost 5 games out of 8 in this bubble, that they should be somewhat afraid and be on the cautious side of having their bubble burst early in the playoffs. I don't see it happening. I can see the Bucks going to the finals. I see them going to the finals. The 76ers, I can see them getting exited out the playoffs in the first round. My personal thoughts on who I could see exiting the playoffs early, it may shock some people. I could see the Lakers exiting the playoffs early. And on top of that, with them having to be facing Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers, and he's been on the run. So that would be my team I could see getting their bubble burst in the playoffs.
Well, you heard Jimmy Butler tell me in that conversation just now, he thinks they can win it all. They're not just going to do well here. He thinks they will win the title. So to do that, Kirk, your prediction would have to come true.
And that's going to be all on that video. I'm going to be dropping some more videos soon. But I just wanted to give my opinion and perspective on the Bubble Awards and who I thought was winning at each category, so to speak. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you, whoever may look at my videos. God bless.